Secrets are something everyone seems to have in one form or another, and oftentimes secrets are kept forever, and the truth surrounding them is never known, and educational institutions have for many a year embellished the truth to fit a specific narrative. But people by nature are a curious lot, and they want to know how things work, where we came from, how old is that megalithic structure over there, and so on. Filmmaker Jason Abadi and his work through his Anunnaki Connection platform has created a very insightful expose of human history which differs from that told by mainstream academia. So, sit back and enjoy Before the Flood, the civilization they don't want you to know about.
Göbekli Tepe, Baalbek, Pumapunku, and the Great Pyramids. Something doesn't add up. Across the world, massive stone structures, impossibly large, impossibly precise, stand as silent witnesses to a past that history refuses to acknowledge. These places defy explanation. They do not fit into the accepted timeline of human development. They should not exist. Structures that predate recorded history, built with techniques that should not have been possible. Who built them? When? And most importantly, how? Join us as we uncover the forgotten past, lost civilizations, unexplained artifacts and mysteries that will challenge everything we've been told. What secrets have been hidden, and why? In 1994, German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt uncovered something that changed history forever. A temple complex in Turkey that was 12,000 years old. This was before writing, before agriculture, before what we call civilization had even begun. And yet, Göbekli Tepe was built with megalithic precision. 20-foot tall, T-shaped limestone pillars, some weighing over 20 tons, arranged in perfect circles. Many of them are covered in intricate carvings, animals, strange humanoid figures, symbols we cannot decipher. Mainstream archaeology insists that at this time in history, humans were primitive hunter-gatherers, small scattered tribes with no tools beyond flint and bone. So how did they build this? How did they move 100,000-pound stones without wheels, without beasts of burden, without any of the technology that should be required? And then, there's the biggest question of all. Why was it buried? Sometime around 8000 BC, Göbekli Tepe was intentionally covered with sand and debris. Not destroyed, hidden, as if someone wanted to preserve it for the future or erase it from history.
Here we are in the so-called enclosure D of Göbekli Tepe, A, B, C, D, numbered in order of the discovery. And D is a best preserved one with a diameter of about 20 meters from east to west, and with pillars in situ since around 12,000 years. And with very high pillars, the central ones here have a height of 5.50 meters, and the floor is made of the bedrock, but carefully smoothed bedrock. So it's an unbelievable good preservation of this enclosure, which is, had been erected by Stone Age people so long ago, and which is still existent now here.
When Schmidt began excavating Göbekli Tepe, he quickly realized its significance. This site was not just another ancient ruin. It was the oldest known temple in the world, built at a time when humans weren't supposed to be capable of such engineering feats. His findings directly contradicted the mainstream view that civilization began around 5,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. For years, Göbekli Tepe was kept out of the public consciousness. Even after its discovery, it took decades for it to receive any real recognition. The majority of academia downplayed the discovery, arguing it was a minor anomaly, rather than a game changer for human history. Schmidt himself noted that many of his peers tried to dismiss or ignore his work. They didn't want to acknowledge that a sophisticated culture existed thousands of years before the first cities of Mesopotamia. One of the most suspicious developments is the halt of further excavation. When Schmidt passed away in 2014, new leadership took over the site's research. Instead of continuing his work, they slowed down excavations to a crawl. Less than 5% of the site has been uncovered. This means that 95% of its secrets are still hidden beneath the ground. And yet, instead of prioritizing further digs, the site was swiftly covered up, literally. Large sections were reburied, and much of the area was placed under a protective roof structure, limiting access. Official explanations claim this is to preserve the site. But this is eerily similar to other cases where historical sites were sealed away when their findings became inconvenient. One of the strangest aspects of Göbekli Tepe is that it was deliberately buried. Someone, thousands of years after it was built, covered it up under layers of soil. Why? Ancient texts from Mesopotamia speak of a great flood that wiped out a previous civilization. The Sumerians called the gods who ruled before the flood the Anunnaki. Is it possible that Göbekli Tepe is a remnant of that pre-flood civilization? The Sumerians recorded that after the flood, new cities were built under the guidance of the gods. This eerily matches the pattern we see in history. Advanced structures, which predate the supposed dawn of civilization, only for cities to reappear thousands of years later in Sumer and Egypt. Academia refuses to acknowledge this because it would invalidate decades of established history books. It would require rewriting everything, and many scholars do not want to risk their careers by challenging the system. But as more people wake up to the truth, the cracks in the mainstream story are starting to show. What else lies buried beneath Göbekli Tepe? And more importantly, why don't they want us to find out? In Lebanon, the Baalbek Temple complex houses one of the greatest megalithic mysteries on Earth. The Trilithon stones, three 800-ton blocks forming the foundation of the Temple of Jupiter, are so massive that modern cranes struggle to lift them. But the real enigma is the stone of the pregnant woman, a 1,200-ton megalith, one of the largest ever cut by human hands. To this day, we do not know how these stones were moved. The Romans who built the temple atop this foundation did not have the technology to move blocks of this size. In fact, no known civilization in history has ever demonstrated the ability to transport 1,000+ ton megaliths. So who laid the foundation of Baalbek? Did an advanced civilization exist before the Romans, one with technology lost to time? Or was this something more? High in the Bolivian Andes, 13,000 feet above sea level, lies Pumapunku, one of the strangest sights in the world. Scattered across the landscape are precisely cut stone blocks, each weighing several tons. These aren't just heavy, they are engineered. Many have perfectly straight 90-degree cuts, interlocking notches, and deep drill holes, as if machined with advanced tools. But here's the problem. Pumapunku is estimated to be over 14,000 years old, far older than the Inca, older than any civilization known in South America. And yet, these stones are made of andesite, one of the hardest materials on Earth. Even with modern diamond-tipped tools, shaping and drilling through andesite is a challenge. So how were these ancient builders cutting, shaping, and lifting multi-ton precision blocks at high altitude? Thousands of years before history says they could. Modern construction technology has revolutionized the way we build. Skyscrapers pierce the sky, suspension bridges span impossible distances, and cities rise faster than ever before. But despite our advances, there are limits. Limits that become clear when we compare today's tools to the achievements of the ancient world. Our most powerful cranes, like the Liebherr LR 130,000, can lift roughly 3,000 tons, and even that requires a carefully prepared surface, precise counterweights, and ideal conditions. But imagine trying to position a 1,650-ton megalith, like the Stone of the South at Baalbek, perched on uneven ground, without the convenience of paved roads or modern lifting platforms. Even with today's technology, such a project would be slow, hazardous, and astonishingly expensive. Transporting these stones presents another challenge. Modern heavy-haul vehicles can carry hundreds of tons, but moving a single multi-ton block across rough mountainous terrain without roads would be a logistical nightmare. Even specialized platforms like self-propelled modular transporters, SPMTs, would struggle to manage the terrain where many of these ancient sites stand. Then there's the precision. Sites like Poppycock showcase stones cut with surgical accuracy, perfect right angles, millimeter-wide grooves, and surfaces so smooth they reflect light like glass. Modern stonemasons achieve this using diamond-tipped saws, computer-guided routers, and laser cutting systems, tools that rely on electricity and complex machinery. Reproducing Poppycock's craftsmanship without those resources would be slow, inconsistent, and costly. Even structural design poses serious challenges. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for example, was built with over 2.3 million blocks of stone, some weighing as much as 70 tons, fitted together with astonishing precision. Replicating that structure today, with its alignment to true north and its complex internal chambers, would demand years of planning, specialized machinery, and cutting-edge software. Yet the original builders achieved this without blueprints, computers, or cranes. The truth is, modern construction thrives on speed and efficiency. Prefabricated materials, reinforced steel, and computer-assisted design have streamlined the process. But those same methods make it nearly impossible to replicate the artistry, scale, and precision seen in ancient megalithic sites. Hidden just a few miles from the famous Giza Plateau lies a forgotten pyramid that few have heard of. The Pyramid of Zawiet El Aryan was never fully completed, yet what remains is staggering. Beneath the site is a massive underground chamber cut directly into bedrock, with a polished granite basin weighing several tons. This basin was placed with such precision that modern engineers question how it was lowered into place without heavy machinery. Today, the site is sealed off to the public, officially for security reasons, but some believe it's because the unexplained engineering defies accepted historical narratives. The Pyramid of Zawiet El Aryan was first investigated in the early 20th century by Italian archaeologist Alessandro Barsanti. What he uncovered was unlike anything seen in traditional pyramid structures. At the heart of the site lies a massive underground chamber carved directly into the bedrock. The chamber's walls are smoothly polished, and within it sits a colossal granite basin, a singular block of stone weighing several tons. The basin's design is highly unusual, perfectly cut, with no apparent lid or markings, yet unmistakably designed for some precise function. The precision-cut granite, combined with the sheer scale of the structure, presents a serious challenge to conventional historical timelines. According to mainstream archaeology, this pyramid dates back to Egypt's 4th dynasty, yet the engineering methods used seem far too advanced for that era. The most compelling feature of the Pyramid of Zawiet El Aryan is undoubtedly the granite basin, an object so out of place that even Egyptologists struggle to explain it. Even today, Replicating the basin with such precision would require diamond-tipped saws, computer-guided cutting tools, and advanced lifting equipment. Yet whoever constructed it thousands of years ago did so with none of these resources, or with technology that has since been lost. The pyramid of Zawyet el-Aryan is now completely closed to the public. Officially, Egyptian authorities claim the closure is for safety reasons, but this decision has raised serious questions. Why halt excavations when less than half the site has been explored? Some theorists believe that the pyramid of Zawyet el-Aryan poses an uncomfortable problem for mainstream archaeology. Its engineering surpasses what dynastic Egyptians were believed to be capable of. If the site truly dates back to the 4th dynasty, it implies that this level of advanced technology existed far earlier than history records. Others suggest the pyramid may predate dynastic Egypt altogether, possibly linked to a pre-flood civilization or the legendary Anunnaki. For decades, mainstream archaeology has maintained that human civilization began around 6,000 years ago, emerging in Mesopotamia with the rise of the Sumerian city-states, followed by Egypt, the Indus Valley, and other well-documented cultures. But what if this widely accepted timeline is incomplete, or even intentionally misleading? A growing body of evidence, from mysterious megalithic structures to ancient flood myths found in cultures across the globe, suggests that the true origins of human civilization may be far older and far more mysterious than we've been told. One of the most prominent figures challenging the conventional narrative is Graham Hancock, a journalist and researcher whose work has sparked both fascination and debate. Hancock's investigations point to the existence of a lost, advanced civilization, one that thrived long before recorded history and left behind traces of its existence in the ancient world. Central to Hancock's argument is the idea that human history extends much further back than mainstream academia acknowledges. He proposes that an advanced civilization, technologically sophisticated, though not necessarily industrial, existed during the last ice age, roughly 12,000 to 15,000 years ago. According to Hancock, this civilization met its end during a global cataclysm, possibly a comet impact, which triggered massive floods, earthquakes, and environmental collapse. The survivors of this catastrophe, he suggests, may have become the mythic teachers remembered in ancient traditions, figures like the Anunnaki, the Atlanteans, or the mysterious Osiris kings of Egypt. Hancock's work draws heavily on the flood myths found in cultures across the globe. From the Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh, to the biblical story of Noah's Ark, to Native American tales of a world-engulfing deluge, nearly every major culture has preserved stories of a catastrophic flood. Hancock connects these myths to the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, a controversial theory proposing that a comet or asteroid struck the Earth around 12,800 years ago, causing dramatic climate shifts and widespread destruction. He argues that this event not only wiped out the lost civilization, but also plunged humanity into a prolonged period of darkness. In collaboration with researcher Robert Bauval, Hancock has also explored the idea that the Giza pyramids align with the stars of Orion's belt as they appeared in 10,500 BC, a date that aligns with his proposed timeline for the lost civilization's demise. To Hancock, these alignments are more than symbolic. They are deliberate messages carved in stone, warning of past cataclysms and pointing to a forgotten chapter of human history. Still, Hancock's work remains on the fringes, and he has accused museums, institutions, and even governments of deliberately suppressing alternative theories. Whether it's the dismissal of anomalous artifacts, the reluctance to explore underwater ruins, or the outright refusal to consider pre-Ice Age civilizations, Hancock argues that the mainstream has a vested interest in maintaining the status quo. But why? What are they afraid we might discover? As new evidence continues to emerge, the cracks in the traditional narrative are becoming harder to ignore. The question is no longer just about whether Hancock's theories are correct. It's about why so many are so determined to silence them. Could it be that the true history of humanity, with all its lost civilizations and forgotten cataclysms, is too radical, too disruptive, or too revealing to be accepted? The answers may lie buried, not just in the earth, but in the stories we've been told, and the ones we haven't. In Visoko, Bosnia and Herzegovina, a discovery emerged in 2005 that shook the world of archaeology, yet remains one of the most fiercely debated finds of the 21st century. Known as the Bosnian Pyramids, these structures challenge the accepted timeline of human civilization and hint at a lost chapter in our collective past. At the heart of this mystery is the Pyramid of the Sun, a massive pyramid-like hill that some researchers believe may be over 30,000 years old, predating the earliest known civilizations by tens of thousands of years. But despite growing evidence of artificial construction, the Bosnian pyramids have faced relentless dismissal and even suppression from mainstream archaeology. The Bosnian pyramids were first identified by Semir Osmanagic, a Bosnian-American archaeologist and author, in 2005. While exploring the hills of Visoko, Osmanagic noticed a distinct geometric structure, a triangular hill with flat, precisely angled sides and a sharp apex. As excavation began, Osmanagic and his team uncovered what appeared to be massive stone slabs, organized in a way that suggested deliberate construction. Further investigations revealed flat, paved terraces resembling stone platforms, networks of underground tunnels running beneath the structure, ceramic stones lining these tunnels, some weighing several tons, evidence of a quartz and crystalline material within the stones, elements known to amplify and transmit electromagnetic energy. But perhaps most startling was the alignment. The Pyramid of the Sun appeared to be oriented to true north with incredible precision, a feature often associated with ancient monuments that tracked celestial movements. Researchers examining organic material found in the tunnel system claimed it was over 30,000 years old, potentially placing the Bosnian pyramids among the oldest known man-made structures on Earth. Soil samples analyzed by geologists were dated to roughly 12,000 to 15,000 years ago, suggesting the site's surface had been covered for millennia. The precision-cut stone blocks, coupled with reports of geometric patterns within the structure, fueled speculation that the pyramid may have once been part of a technologically sophisticated civilization predating recorded history. Another baffling discovery emerged in the nearby forests of Zavidovici, Bosnia, a massive stone sphere that has defied explanation. This bizarre object, sometimes referred to as the Bosnian stone sphere, has fueled speculation of advanced ancient engineering, lost civilizations, and mysterious Earth energies. While mainstream archaeologists have dismissed it as a natural formation, others believe it may be one of the most compelling artifacts of a forgotten past. The stone sphere was also discovered by Osmanagic in 2016, the same researcher who brought global attention to the Bosnian pyramids. Nestled in the dense forests of Zavidovici, the sphere was partially buried in the earth, yet its near-perfect spherical shape and enormous size immediately stood out. The sphere measures approximately 10 feet, 3 meters, in diameter and weighs an estimated 30 tons. Its surface is rich in iron oxide, giving it an unusually dense and durable structure. The sphere's curvature is astonishingly precise, leading some experts to suggest it was shaped deliberately rather than by natural erosion. Despite the mounting evidence, mainstream archaeologists have aggressively dismissed both the Bosnian pyramids and the stone sphere as natural geological formations, claiming these are nothing more than fractured bedrock shaped by erosion. Located off the coast of Yonaguni Island, part of Japan's Ryukyu archipelago, lies a vast underwater structure that has baffled experts since its discovery. Often called Japan's Atlantis, the Yonaguni Monument may be the ultimate proof that a sophisticated civilization existed long before recorded history. In 1986, a local diver named Kihachiro Aratake was exploring the seabed near Yonaguni when he stumbled upon something extraordinary, an enormous stone structure that seemed to rise from the ocean floor. At first it appeared natural, but closer inspection revealed striking features that defied geological explanation. Carved steps, flat terraces, and smooth angular walls suggested something deliberate, something designed. Geological evidence suggests that the monument has been underwater for at least 10,000 years, dating its construction to a time when much of the Earth's ice caps were still melting from the last ice age. The monument's resemblance to other megalithic structures, particularly Pumapunku in Bolivia and the Olmec sites of Mesoamerica, raises the possibility that a now forgotten civilization may have shared global knowledge of architecture, mathematics, and astronomy. This would place Yonaguni's creation at least 5,000 years before the Great Pyramids, and possibly long before any known civilization. If Yonaguni was man-made, it may be the oldest known structure on Earth, a relic of a lost civilization that existed before the rise of ancient Egypt, Sumer, or the Indus Valley. Many believe Yonaguni is evidence of an advanced culture that thrived during the Ice Age, only to be wiped out by cataclysmic floods as sea levels rose. Mainstream geologists, however, argue that the Yonaguni Monument is a natural formation, shaped by ocean currents and underwater erosion. They claim that the steps and walls are simply fractured sandstone, a rare but possible geological phenomenon. Yet divers and independent researchers continue to uncover new features at the site, including what some claim are carvings, symbolic markings, and aligned stone pillars, all hinting at something far more intentional. Despite these discoveries, efforts to fund large-scale excavations at Yonaguni have faced resistance. Some suspect that academia's reluctance to investigate stems from what the site represents, a direct challenge to the accepted narrative of human history. Was it constructed by a forgotten people wiped out in the chaos of Earth's shifting climate? Could it have been part of a global civilization, one whose achievements were drowned beneath the rising seas? Whatever the truth, the Yonaguni Monument stands as a chilling reminder that much of our past remains hidden, buried in the earth, swallowed by the oceans, or deliberately forgotten. In school, as children, we're given a narrative, a tidy story about our past. We're told where we came from, how civilization began, and how humanity slowly climbed from ignorance to enlightenment. But who wrote that story? And more importantly, why? History, like any story, is told by those with the loudest voices, and those voices often decide what's remembered and what's forgotten. The deeper you look, the more the cracks begin to show. Pieces that don't fit, discoveries that are dismissed, evidence that's quietly buried. Ancient monuments that modern engineering would struggle to replicate. Forgotten cultures capable of mapping the stars with impossible precision. Myths of cataclysms that echo across continents. Myths that sound less like legend and more like memory. So how long does a story get told before it stops being the truth and becomes something else entirely? Language can be a tool to reveal truth, but it can just as easily be used to conceal it. The past is far older, far richer, and far stranger than we've been led to believe. The evidence is out there, carved in stone, buried beneath the earth, and written in the language of the stars. We are not the first to walk this path. The question is, what else have we forgotten?
Many heartfelt thanks go out to all of you for traveling along with us on this tale of mystery and discovery. Please be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to receive updates on new releases. This helps us a great deal in our ongoing content endeavors. This is Professor Poppycock signing off, and I shall see you all in the next one. And remember, be happy and remain curious.